started and other people will filter back in. So, another period of silent practice. I invite you to get settled into a comfortable position for 30 minutes of practice. Making any adjustments to bring ease to the body. And balancing with a sense of alertness, the mind. Just making sure the body is supported. Checking in, I invite you to check in with the body. Inquiring if anything is needed to support a still posture for the next 30 minutes. Noticing how it is to settle into silence. Turn our mindfulness and awareness to our experience right now. Bringing our careful, mindful attention to our experience, to sensations in the body, to feeling states. Noticing if there are any mind states, mind objects, thoughts that are demanding our attention. Just noticing what is. Letting all of these sensations, states, thoughts, feelings be. Allowing for complexity, allowing for our internal weather systems to have different pieces moving, shifting, increasing, decreasing. Can we have the spaciousness for this experience in this moment? Just letting the energy of discussion and inquiry, investigation, learning, letting that energy settle in the mind and body. Maybe there's some integration happening. Giving that some space. I invite you to choose a point of focus or anchor for this practice period. A place to coalesce and settle awareness on a simpler point of focus. Maybe it's the breath. Maybe it is point in the field of vision, could be sound, could be a point of contact. Bringing that point, that anchor, into the foreground of our awareness. Letting other sensations, mind objects, feelings be in the spaciousness of background. Inviting this anchor as a place to rest. Place to return the awareness, rest the awareness. Just to see if this returning to resting the awareness on your anchor can be something that's done with little effort, as a sense of a gentle returning, kind invitation, an opportunity or invitation to let go of a need to do, let go of a sense of should, or a sense of efforting. Springing curiosity. Can I come back to my point of anchor as a return home to the present moment? If this sensation of resting in the present moment is available, if there's that sense of just resting the awareness gently in this present moment, just noticing if that can be resourcing. The way that we can touch into a sense of rest in our awareness. nourished by this moment, by this breath, by this experience. By this experience of both giving our attention to ourselves and receiving it. Receiving our full, undivided, generous, kind attention. As we continue to keep returning to our experience in this moment, as we continue to give ourselves that undivided attention that we long for, and we notice if we can also bring a quality of delight in that attention, delighting in our being, just inviting in, whether it feels accessible or not, inviting in the possibility of delight. just checking in with our relationship to our experience in the present moment, wherever our attention may be, continuing to invite that relationship of kind, friendly attention, offering ourselves our full attention as a dear friend with a relationship of kindness, curiosity, desire for connection. And inviting the possibility of pleasure and delight in that sense of connecting with ourselves, companioning ourselves in this present moment. these last few minutes of this practice period, I want to invite in a sense of appreciation or gratitude, recognizing the attention that we've given ourselves during this practice period, whether that felt effortful or effortless, whether it felt dry or juicy, just recognizing that we've taken this time to really give ourselves our undivided attention. Just coming back over and over and extending to ourselves some appreciation for what we've received. If gratitude feels available, extending gratitude for our practice. Inviting appreciation and gratitude for the kindness, the friendliness, the companioning that we're able to offer ourselves. And I invite you to extend that gratitude and appreciation to the other beings in this circle. Just noticing, if it's available, the feeling of support, of co-regulation, the way practicing together can be such a support. Any sense of nourishment that you're receiving for sitting in this circle, extending some gratitude and appreciation to the others for their practice. Extending a circle of appreciation and gratitude to appreciate this land that we are resting and practicing on, non-human beings who live here, animals, trees, plants, insects, birds, all sorts of beings seen and unseen. Supporting our practice, making a bigger circle around our circle, extending our circle of gratitude and appreciation to include the land and all the beings on it. So now we're going to do a little bit of inquiry in small groups. In dyads. Thank you. So find a partner for this next bit. Sure. Okay.
Since you're right there at my feet. Why do you want to sit there?
Okay.
Okay.
Happy.
So I yeah.
Should be something around. You just go.
Yes.
You want to be a triple with Robbie then?
What? How many minutes?
Robbie, do you want to be a triple with Diana?
I can partner with someone. Okay, I will.
It's to do, just sit on the floor.
Just put a few of them in and they grew.
Oh, is that right?
Robbie, do you want to see?
Well, I'm gonna actually, he's gonna partner. They're somewhere from China, so it's about time. Where do you wanna go?
Over to the
Okay.
I was freaked out. I wish I had gone to the guy from the mushroom.
Well, that's gonna tell us.
Find your partner, and then it's helpful if you've got a partner to face them.
Face this.
You need to
Sorry.
share the word face them.
All right. Thank you.
She says that when you
Yes. Maybe I can share it.
Goodness, well, good. There you go.
It's like that PowerPoint that used to be on 60 Minutes.
So if I can have your attention, thank you. So part of what I mentioned at the last class was that one of the ways that we can really support each other is through attunement and more and more increasing levels of presence with each other. And one of the learnings that I've done is insight dialogue. And insight dialogue has a way of helping us train our attention with ourselves and with each other so that we have an increasing capacity to be present with what's happening. And so there's the person who's speaking and then the person who's listening. So in this situation, I think I'd like the person who's got the longer hair to go first as the person who's speaking, okay? And the speaking person, what I'd like you to do is initially I just want you to share like a body scan, what's actually the body experience that you're having right now, okay? So it's an immediate thing, it's not yesterday, it's not this morning, it's right now. And you can share just, highlights, I feel my arm, or I feel my back, or I feel pressure, I feel tightness, I feel flow, I feel constriction, And in this kind of a dialogue, please feel comfortable to share what feels easeful for you. Like if something's happening that you don't feel comfortable sharing, then you don't need to disclose what doesn't feel comfortable to share, so that you're in choice about what you disclose. Yeah. So the idea is just to stay in the present moment, to track what's happening in your body, and to keep it as simple as possible. So no story about what happened, okay? So, I hurt my arm a week ago and I'm still feeling the pressure on it today. It's just pressure, okay? Pressure. There's pressure, it's in my arm, and now I feel a fullness in my tummy, and I feel heaviness of tiredness. So, just immediate. So that's the person who's speaking. The person who's listening, your job is just to be in a relaxed, spacious attention where you are tuned into your own body as you're listening and aware of what it is that you're hearing. Now, if you hear something and all of a sudden you lose contact with yourself, or you see something, like your partner gets really animated, or maybe there's an expression of sadness and you lose yourself absorbing into them, then you are invited just to close your eyes or do whatever you need to just shift focus and reconnect with yourself. So your primary job is to stay connected to yourself while you're listening to somebody else. And if in listening you disconnect from yourself, then you're invited to regulate by doing something like closing your eyes and shifting your focus just on your own body experience. When you feel reconnected, then you open your eyes and you listen again. The two of you are independent, so if you notice that your partner's eyes are closing, you don't need to stop speaking if you're the speaker, okay? So your process is your own process. Their process is their process, yeah? Any questions? No, okay. So, person with the longer hair begins, and it's just the immediacy of what's happening in your body, no story. And there's nothing that the listener needs to do in terms of affirm, agree, acknowledge, encourage, comfort, offer advice. What you are invited to do is to be fully alive in your presence with yourself and your partner as you're speaking.
Don't be noisy.
Okay? Any questions?
No.
Okay.
How long is it gonna be?
For as long as it is, and then I'll ring a bell.
Feeling pressure. My sits bone, so on the cushion. Pressure on the bottom of my feet. Feeling
Cold belly.
burning warmth in my foot. Full in my stomach. Like a not uncomfortable.
Lower back.
Just feeling a little bit drowsy.
Lower back.
There's stress around my temple. I'm feeling good, stretching my legs out, sitting
Tickling.
cross-legged like this.
Suppress cough and throat.
And I feel like raising it, putting it back.
Sort of, I feel pretty relaxed.
Blood pressure.
Relaxed.
My
Cheeks.
Nice and slowly.
Blood pressure.
Gravity is
Sliding my
down
feet
from my cheekbones.
are feeling okay.
My foot, my
They
neck
didn't feel okay. Well, anyway, no.
feels like it's kind of like
Okay now.
stuck in a position that's not comfortable. Pressure, move it.
Breathing deeply. I'm
I feel like
sitting
I
up straight.
squished
That
on
helps.
my middle finger and around
Sitting straight.
Cool.
a little I can feel my hair sensation in my back of my hair.
I'm feeling my face is smiling.
Like I want to get
Right.
Slight tension in my neck, in the back of my neck.
I feel like sometimes there's pressure, belly pressure,
You're getting
look at you relaxing like this.
sore from being turned this way, so that I can change
Feel the
it.
elastic in my
But right now, I'm
waist.
feeling balanced.
I can feel my elbows. I'm feeling my sweat. I can feel some heat rising around, kind of around my shoulders.
And now the invitation is to switch partners so that the one who was listening is now speaking and the one who was speaking is now listening. And really the work is of the person who's listening. That's the place of having this embodied presence, to be completely anchored to your own direct experience, to be open to what your partner is saying and tracking when you disconnect from your own experience, and regulating by closing your eyes, turning your attention inward until you feel ready and available to open your eyes and attune to what they're saying.
Thank you.
So now what I'd like to do is to invite you to share, just in dialogue, about what that was like. What was the experience like? How was that different? How was that same? How was that weird? How was that interesting for you? Yeah.
Well, they're in harder to be just like how many
The
things.
procedures harder?
No, I think listeners think it's harder, but it's hard, after a while you feel like there's something.
It's your same body, you know. Yeah, I know.
Tell me a time that spiritual friendship helped you deal with a hindrance. Okay? And the person who's listening, the invitation is to stay fully present as you're listening. And anytime you get drawn in or lost or disconnect, just do what you need to do to reconnect and then bring your presence forward. Questions?
You talk about presence of yourself.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
2 questions.
You know, I couldn't define the exact hindrance though. I'm not quite sure what I have to think about which category it fits in. I don't know.
Anything? Yeah.
I think I feel a little calmer after the exercise.
It's very connecting.
Yeah, it's amazing. So we can talk about something that, like, normally we don't do a verbal body scan. Like, that's not normal conversation. But when somebody's fully present to that, it's there's an intimacy. There's a sense of like being seen.
It also makes it much easier to see your own patterns in it, interaction. When you're, so what, the second round, you know, there's much more to listen to and kind of get distracted by. But when Bev was just describing body sensations, and I have this compulsion to help her out when she seems to be getting stuck, you know. She's just describing what's going on in her own body, you can't help. But I just see this deep underlying tendency.
So my mistake, that one, you know, things that normally happens when you give the instruction of pause is to remind people that one of the things that we're pausing is this tendency, the normal tendencies in communication, which is to fix or to sort or to offer advice or to help people out or to encourage or whatever it is that we do. And so part of that, of the stopping, is the pausing and just connecting with that sense of presence. You know, just being present. You know, it's huge. Presence is huge. It's huge. But it means that we have to go against the stream of this conditioning of what we assume it's supposed to be when we're sitting next to somebody and they're speaking. We have a long list of expectations about what is supposed to happen. Yes.
I wish my husband would understand, you know, in terms of listening, because there's always advice, suggestions, you know. You come back and I say, I just want you to listen. Just listen. So I have to give him a little story about that.
Yes. So one of the things that you can do is that when you do notice that he listens,
Reinforce it.
you can say, "Oh, I feel seen. I feel heard, and my nervous system relaxed.
Oh,
I feel
yes.
so much calmer."
He'd appreciate that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
I have a question about that part of the exercise. I don't think I had a problem being present and listening as the descriptions were happening. You know, oh yeah, I understand. Oh, that's interesting. So I was sort of following where he was and feeling very present. But I also have to say, I have what do they call it? A voiceover saying, "Oh, I wonder where he got that ring. I wonder why he wears a ponytail. I wonder why." That was also there while I was kind of being physically present, and I didn't know how to turn that off,
No, it's not a turning off. It's not a need to turn it off.
but I was
what's-
aware of it.
That's right. So
Uh-huh.
you're aware of it, and then
Yeah.
you keep going into the sense of present with. So
Uh-huh.
that's part of present with. When that grabs your attention and you're disconnecting from the person, then there needs to be a shift. Or when your focus on the person makes it so that you can't feel your own experience, there needs to be a shift. But presence invites the totality of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever you are present to is welcome. And it's incredible what the voiceover, like when
Yeah.
we don't normally notice
Right.
until we set up a context where it becomes really pronounced.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also very useful. Because we're not aware of our voiceover.
That's
a
right.
lot.
That's right. So
And
it
we're
becomes
having-
like wallpaper and we don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
And so then when you see it, then you can work with it. You've got something to work with.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes.
My experience was the second exercise was so much more juicy than the first, and we both told stories about doubt being the hindrance, and I felt very connected in both the receiving and the telling of the story, and it just seemed to me that that the narrative aspect was very moving to me, and it was also a lot more difficult to stay grounded. Like, just the first exercise, I felt like, oh, I found a spot in myself, and I was there, and it was fine. And but the second one, I kept like having to reel myself back in.
So
But it was also like I didn't feel like the reeling myself back in was that that great. I mean, I felt like it was nice to like go out and then come back in, and then go out and come back in a sense. That relational aspect was almost better than just like being anchored in one spot in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a learning or an unfolding, a process of feeling intimate and connected from a place of being grounded. That's a whole inquiry itself, is to explore what that looks like and how that moves. But what you're describing is that there's juice, there's emotional nourishment in the feeling of connection. And even when that means that you don't feel as personally grounded in yourself, there's still a value in it. And so just note to self, this is the way it's adding up for you right now. And so the interesting thing about putting those two exercises back to back is that they're very different, and yet the muscles that you develop in one can flow into the other. And so then you have that as choice points. If you choose, it becomes a choice point. Yeah.
To be more self-aware, you're saying, you know.
Exactly,
you have
to be more self-aware. And then my experience is that when people are more self-aware, I feel more seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And so it isn't so much that I want people diving into me, but when they're actually rooted in themselves, I feel more relaxed and more seen, and more intimacy and more connection is possible.
It gets a little more challenging when they're talking about you. And she's talking about me in some way, you know. Sometimes I can do that. I can back off enough and be present enough to listen, but then sometimes it evokes, you know.
It does.
Stuff.
So, you know, I mean, the whole insight dialogue thing, usually in an insight dialogue retreat, it's like a 10-day retreat to get all of the insight dialogue skills. And then it's many years to actually develop them so that there's some level of mastery with them. So, and that's its own thing, insight dialogue. And it's the way of bringing mindfulness into the whole relational sphere. But to watch the stuff that it evokes, and then to manage this sense of being grounded and present, internally connected, and yet also able to speak with somebody about stuff. You know, it takes skill. It takes skill. Yes.
It's just occurring to me, like, part of what makes me, I'll panic in conversations with people, and I think what we're just describing is part of it, and that is that they're grasping, they're wanting something out of it. And whereas when we just, what we talked about, how in the first exercise, when it's very easy to stay in your body and it's very easy to just talk, because it's kind of like you have an open vessel in front of you, and it feels inviting to do so, as opposed to when you're in this conversation and somebody wanting something from you, and that feels invasive and unpleasant, and so being an open vessel for somebody is that position of receiving is kind of a beautiful gift, isn't it?
It's a very beautiful gift, and it's not to be something that's underestimated how powerful it is. You know, so we have all kinds of structures in our system about having to do or fix or advise or therapize or get it right or whatever, and we completely lose. Being present is like a gold mine. You know, just the act of being fully present is like giving somebody diamonds.
Well, aren't like your time and attention, aren't they maybe the two greatest things that you have, and you give them to somebody?
And so as a community, learning how to develop our skill and attunement is part of what we can do in fostering each other's sense of safety, health, and well-being, in our ability to see and to be present and to hear. It actually creates a fabric of relatedness that becomes something that we can trust and relax into, so that we don't feel like it's just up to us pulling things up by our own bootstraps. Yeah. So I'd like to switch gears and close this discussion, and then invite us to come into another meditation. Just allowing your body to come into a posture that feels relaxed and easy. It's not an effort. It's comfortable. let's start with just the shape of our body, the weight of our body, the density of our body, and the feeling tone of our body. What is that like now? Are you light? Are you tight? Are you easy? Do you feel comfort? Do you feel tension? So mindfulness is open, it's not judgmental, it doesn't require things to be a certain way. It's just a willingness to meet what is here and present. Sounds, movement, temperature, light, feeling tones, thoughts, moods. Whatever is arising, you can open to it and welcome it. So it's often the case when we're noticing, there's a sense of me being here that's noticing an it that's out there. I'm here looking at my body that's out there. So let's see what happens if we try and find the one that's noticing, the one that's looking. Turning awareness on awareness, attention on awareness. So when I turn my attention looking for the one that's looking, all I experience is this brightness, this quality of knowing. Sometimes it's available to me to lean in to that brightness and that quality of knowing. And if that's available to you right now, I invite you to lean in into the knowing, lean in to that which is knowing. Seeing, sensing, perceiving. It's not something that you have to try, an effort. It's just this shifting of attention. Sometimes we can access it in a different way. We start letting our body just be like a mountain, upright, dignified, grounded, beautiful, majestic. Letting the breath be like the wind. Just coming and going of its own accord. Sometimes gentle, sometimes a little bit more pressure. But the wind is not something you control. Letting the breath be like the wind, free, uncontrived. Body like a mountain, breath like the wind, mind like the sky. Just relaxing into the open, spacious vastness of the sky. Seeing clouds passing through the sky. Sometimes they're pink and beautiful, sometimes they're dark and ominous. Sometimes they're misty and only slightly perceivable. And all of them are like clouds passing through the sky. They come, they stay for a while, and they go. And from the perspective of the sky is not preoccupied with the clouds. Whether it's pink or gray or misty or dark. Our thoughts are like clouds. Our memories are like clouds. The stories that we tell are like clouds. The experiences that we've had are like clouds. From the perspective of the vast sky. Clear, spacious, ever present and timeless. From the perspective of the sky, the body arises as a cloud passing through the sky. From the perspective of the sky, the breath arises as a cloud passing through the sky. Now tune in to the qualities of the sky that are most appealing for you. Is it its vastness, its spaciousness, the fact that it's ever present, its clarity? Letting these qualities that are appealing to you coalesce, come together, and fill you up. Fill up your body, your bones and your muscles and your organs. Wash your tears and your blood. This vast, luminous, clear, loving presence. Let it soak in, hold, and nourish. Let it saturate, penetrate, wash, and illuminate. What is tired, let it hold. What is dry, let it moisten. What is frayed, let it strengthen. This luminous, clear, loving awareness. Let it flow from your body to your heart. Your tenderness, your hunger for intimacy and connection. And let it fill up your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, your ideas. This luminous, clear, loving awareness. Vast, timeless, and ever present. everything that we see, taste, touch, smell, feel, cognize, we can use as a portal to that which knows, that which sees, that which feels, that which cognizes and perceives, which gives us access to this which is vast, luminous, clear, loving, aware, and present. When we touch this and know this is who I am, is what I am when everything falls away. This is what is left when I let go completely. When we know this, when we know this in the marrow of being, this is a sign of freedom.
Great. Well, let's stand up and make like a circle-ish shape, maybe an oval. These two hold hands, and we're gonna do a closing word necklace. So share one word that is something you'll be taking home with you today. I can start, and then we'll go around to my left. Connectedness, ease,
Warmth.
Sky.
Safety.
Tenderness.
Knowing.
Tingling.
Connected.
Space.
Openness.
Kindness.
Spaciousness.
beautiful. May the merits and benefits of our practice here together today, our inquiry, investigation, our showing up for ourselves and each other, weaving our experience into relationship. May all of the benefits of all of this practice carry forward in our own lives. May we carry this with us. May we share it with others in our lives and in our communities. May these merits ripple outwards, benefiting other beings, human and unhuman, seen and unseen, rippling around the world. May these merits bring ease, peace, liberation to beings the world over. May all beings everywhere be protected and safe from harm. May all beings know joy, happiness, contentment, delight. May all beings live with ease and well-being. May all beings everywhere find liberation from suffering. May all beings be free. Okay. Very good, very good. Yay!
Put your right foot in.
All right.
All right, so now we're here for climate.
So what do we need to do to
Okay,
get this?
the first thing
thing
that the outside